Good afternoon, Muttonistas. It's a glorious day in the PRM, the People's Republic of Manchester, isn't it ever so? And Manchester City are 90 minutes away from bringing even more glory to the city of Manchester. One game away from 4 titles in a row. West Ham United and David Moyes stand in their way. After getting this far, surely we can't stumble at the last hurdle, can we? Anyway, for those of you who don't know, on the last day of the season, every game kicks off at the same time, 4 o'clock, so nobody can get an advantage from knowing other scores, or at least final scores, that is. I'll be back with you with some football talk later, especially given that what goes on with Arsenal and Everton at the Emirates is of some relevance. But first, the food. I'm by Burnage Station, very close to the ramps leading up to the station, and this restaurant behind me, Chef Platters, took over from the Sarabi restaurant, which was a good restaurant. They went downhill and presumably went bust or had to sell up or something, and now a pretty good restaurant has come in its place, some say even better. I know towards the end of the Sarabi's lifetime, some of my followers, you, came and were a bit disappointed, especially with the service. I never got that, but maybe they looked after me especially. Anyway, I want to show you what the replacement's like because I'm packaged and I'm in a bit of a tandoori mood. Right, Muttonistas, I've ordered something that I don't normally order, a curryless meal at an Indian, all tandoori today. Some interesting choices. You'll be familiar with most of it, but it's quite a good test of the chef's ability, how well they marinate the food. And I'm drinking a glass of the house Rioja. It's reasonable, reasonably fruity. Obviously, when I get stuff in Spain, it's better, but this will do nicely. It'll be heavy enough to accompany some of the grilled meat. And all the wines here you can get by the glass, which is a good thing. Now, whilst I'm waiting for the food, I may as well talk a little bit about football. The team news will come later, of course. But you'd have to have been on the moon not to realise that today, Manchester City definitely need a win. 2 points ahead of Arsenal, but we're 1 behind them in the goal difference stakes, and that can only go the wrong way if we drop points today. I'm not quite sure what Guardiola's going to do. I don't think he's going to play Kovacic alongside Rodri today, as we have done for the last 2 away games, and I think he'll start Doku or maybe Grealish. I think probably Grealish, because getting an early goal will put a lot of nerves to bed. And even though Everton have actually been playing quite well of late, I don't think they're getting anything at the Emirates. Arsenal are playing well as well, of course, so we really do have to do the business here. And I think our main enemy will be nerves and tension. This is so big, 4 titles in a row. It's quite possible that if West Ham do snatch an early goal, that it's going to be another afternoon riddled with nerves, tension, and maybe requiring a late winner. In fact, back in the day, when Moyes was manager of Everton, they did have a bit of joy against City, but City were starting to build their team in the Sheikh Mansour area at that time, and now we are a much better team. And indeed, Moyes with West Ham at the Etihad, I think it's 5 games and no points at all, so reasons to be confident. Quietly confident, of course. Anyway, I'm going to have a quick slurp, and I'll be back with you when the food arrives. Okay, Muttonistas, first dish has arrived, and before I go on to describing the food, I just want to add to what I said about playing one holding midfielder. I think just Rodri will be required today. We were a bit narrow in the last two games. I mean, Fulham were on the beach and Gvardiol provided some great width on the left, but I think we're going to need a winger against a packed Moyes defence who are going to try and counter-attack their way through the game. So, we have tandoori broccoli, quite an unusual one that is, but in India and other parts of the subcontinent, tandoori vegetables very popular, usually a very, very tasty way of having your veg. Lamb chops, seekh kebab, and tandoori chicken. And amazingly, that was a half tandoori chicken. Wow, what generous portions. I'm not going to get through all this, but I'll do my best, Muttonistas. And a little bit of citrus never does a tandoori dish any harm. Tandoori chicken first, nothing too radical here. It's all about how they cook the chicken, hopefully still moist, and how well they marinate it. I'd say very, very slightly overcooked. Just a little bit dry on the top, but moist on the inside. But the marination is pretty good. On to the seekh kebab next. And this, I think, is going to be very succulent because it looks so juicy on the platter when they brought it. Yeah, that's on the money. Great herbs and spices used there. Not overwhelmingly spicy. You can get it that way if you really want it to be. And these are minced or ground lamb. In Pakistan, it was often beef. I'd say they're both good bets, to be honest. Better have a quick slurp before we move on to the lamb chops and the broccoli. And this, Muttonistas, looks like a really, really meaty lamb chop. Now onto the bread, the lachha paratha. It uses quite a lot of butter and is layered, so it's almost like flaky pastry. Not as much so as the South Indian parotas, so don't get those mixed up. It is my favourite South Asian bread, and indeed many people take it on its own with a little bit of vegetable curry. And now the veg, I'm looking forward to this. I'm not normally a big fan of broccoli unless it's particularly al dente, but when it's tandoori, it gives it that je ne sais quoi. Wow, that really did hit the spot. This might sound ridiculous, but given how al dente the broccoli is, crunchy, crispy, with a beautifully spicy marinade, it's actually the pick of the bunch above the meats. Anyway, I'll get on with this and I'll be back with you for beer and football. Okay, Muttonistas, back at Reasons to be Cheerful after probably a 2-month hiatus. And when I saw Jaipur on Cast by Thornbridge, again, I didn't have to look at the rest of the beer board. Just the ticket. Fruity start, tropical fruits, bit of citrus and a long hoppy finish. Ticks every single box for me. Anyway, I'm going to have to get on with this quickly, as you'd probably appreciate by the fact that the team news is out. And I've nailed the team again. It's the same as against Tottenham, but with Doku in for Kovacic. So it's Ortega in goal, of course, because Ederson's injured. At the back, Diaz and Akanji, despite his blunder at Tottenham. And it's good to see Ake on the bench with Johnny Stones. Gvardiol, Walker, Rodri, and the attacking players, Haaland, of course, Foden, Bernardo, De Bruyne, and Doku. So there should be goals in this match. I'll see you at the stadium.
As it works out.
As usual, Muttonistas, a swift half before we go in, only 5 minutes to drink this, and we always go into these final days thinking it should be straightforward, but all true City fans will know it never is straightforward. Champions again, ole, ole! Well, here we go, Muttonistas. I'm sure another of these 3-2s would be great for my viewing figures, but I'd rather just have a solid, sedate 2-0, 3-0. Half an hour in, shots raining down on the West Ham goal. They can't get a kick. They had one little chance at 1-0. Other than a sending off to a City player, I'm not sure how they're going to get back into this. Well, that wasn't in the script. West Ham had put a decent move together, got a corner, and we never really cleared it. And kudos, that was a spectacular overhead kick. 2-1. We need to raise the impetus again, although there is a possible handball here, a VAR check. Go on, Jeremy. Go on! Oh! Well, Muttonistas, half-time, City 2, West Ham 1. It was all looking plain sailing and City were right at it, tore into them, got the early goal from Foden and then a second goal from Foden. And the lad's on fire, isn't he? But then towards the end of the half, we just slackened a bit, we dropped the pace, and now we've got more work to do in the second half. I don't think we can really relax until we've got a 3-goal lead, and we could have had that, we could have killed the game. I think Haaland should have scored at least one of the chances. I know the acrobatic one was pretty difficult, but there was another one where he just seemed to get the ball stuck at his feet. I mean, defensively we've looked all right, but towards the end of the half, well, Ortega did have to make a save. In fact, probably 2 saves, I think, and then the goal. We've got to be right at it in the second half. I was happy to see the half-time whistle. A bit of reorganisation needed. We need to be full pelt for the rest of this match, just to make sure. In the other game, Everton actually took the lead, but it's 1-1 there. I wouldn't put a cent on Everton actually getting anything there, so we've got to do the job here. Okay, 45 minutes from footballing immortality. Don't mess it up, City, and anybody who thinks West Ham are on the beat, no, they are trying their hardest. So come on, City, get it right. Go on. A long time from side to side. Eventually, Kevin De Bruyne hit it back. It ended up at the feet of Rodri, and when we're in trouble, he's a man we can depend upon. 3-1 City. And while I'm at it, a beautiful little lay back from Bernardo as well. Surely 3-1's enough now. Get one more, and it's absolutely strong. Well, that wasn't very good. I mean, they had 2 bites at the cherry there, set up a sweaty finish, 88th minute. The City defenders were all calling handball, and indeed there is a VAR check. There seemed to be a muted celebration. The West Ham fans didn't go up, and indeed the goal's been disallowed. I mean, I don't agree with coming on the pitch period, but if you're going to do it, wait for the final whistle. Don't get the match abandoned or anything. So there we go, Muttonistas, 4 in a row, never been done before. History written and rewritten. What a team this City team is, and I don't think we played anywhere near our best this season either. Only thing about the pitch evasion is that it does delay the presentation for the rest of us. Police surrounding the West Ham fans who are not doing anything. Nobody's having a go at that. Okay, Muttonistas, before we get into the nitty-gritty of the match, first of all, the beer. Eternal Cask IPA, 4.1%. And a few of you have complained that this pub is a little bit too expensive, but off-peak, as in not Saturdays and Fridays, I think, I'm not sure about that. It's only £3.50 a pint, as is the case here, and I think all their casks were cracking value. Yeah, that's nice, fruity, refreshing, moderately hopped, and it's a great session IPA. Obviously tonight's going to be a bit of a celebration with some light refreshment, so I'm going to keep the football part of it quite brief. But before I do, this is my last vlog of the season. Unfortunately, I have to attend more conferences when the FA Cup final is on, and a lucky friend of mine is getting my ticket, so at least it's gone to a genuine City fan. Anyway, on to the match. And I thought City got out of the block superbly. They tore into West Ham, wouldn't let them have a kick of the ball. And it wasn't a surprise that we scored 2 fairly early goals. In fact, we could have had more. We could have easily had more. At that point, having gone into the match a bit nervy because strange things do happen on the last day, although I think on every occasion in the English Premier League that there's been a last day decider, the team ahead has stayed ahead, with the only opportunity being the one that United fluffed at West Ham when Blackburn lost at Liverpool. At that point, I couldn't see any way back at all for West Ham, but towards the end of the first half, City lost their mojo a bit. They lost a bit of impetus, and West Ham actually had about 5 minutes of decent play at the end of the half, and that's when the goal came. I think it was their second shot. In fact, their only 2 shots in the match that were on target, and it was a great overhead kick from Kudu. I mean, all the goals were pretty good in this game. 2 great finishes from Foden. And in the second half, thankfully, there wasn't really any occasion where I thought, oh no, West Ham might equalise here. Obviously, every time they went past the halfway line, I got a bit jittery, but that's me. That's years of supporting City. Anyway, the third goal came from Rodri, another good strike outside the area. De Bruyne to Bernardo laid it off beautifully, and at that point I knew the points were in the bag, and indeed they were. West Ham hardly managed an attack after that, and indeed City managed the game very well from that point on. The ball was just recycled and passed around. West Ham didn't come out to play, so that was that. The win, of course, was required because Arsenal did win their game with a late controversial winner. One of those occasions where the ref is summoned over to the VAR monitor and he sticks with his on-field decision. Doesn't happen very often. I couldn't find fault in anybody really, and Foden and Rodri in particular, the 2 goal scorers as it happens, had outstanding games. In fact, they both had outstanding seasons. And after a lot of chopping and changing and rotating, Guardiola seems to have found his best team now. What will happen next season, we don't know, but the lineup was pretty stable for the last few games. We can talk about star players, and people often ask me who I think the best player is or the best player of the season. But for me, the star is always the manager here, Pep Guardiola. He's the man who makes things tick, has us playing in this superb way, which means a lot of opponents can't get near us, and is obviously a great manager. I wouldn't swap him for anybody, and I hope he stays here for a long time. I very much doubt he or any of the players actually watch my vlogs, but if you do, cheers to a great season, and cheers to all City fans as well. So, 4 in a row. History. Can you see that being repeated in our lifetimes? I don't think so. It might be possible, but I think we could even go on and win a 5th in a row. And I think this record is going to stand for donkey's years. United and Liverpool couldn't do it when they were at their peaks in the 80s and 90s. And United actually did 3 in a row twice, I believe. They couldn't manage the 4th, though. Well, there we are. Not quite the end of the season. FA Cup final to come. City could win yet another double. Those are not to be sniffed at. And with Casemiro and possibly Evans and or Maguire playing at the back for United, we should be licking our lips over that one. And I'm so sorry, I'm not going to be there to bring you that one. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you all again from the delectable surroundings of the Northern Monk. So, until the next video, or until next season, if you just watch my football videos, thanks for watching. Please remember to keep liking, keep sharing, keep subscribing, tell all your friends about me. But most of all, Muttonistas, don't forget, you can't beat a bit of mutton.